It's so nice to see you again, Ananga. Um, in often in bhakti, we talk about you are what you eat and how important it is to focus on a sattvic lifestyle, a sattvic diet. And I thought it would be wonderful to unfold and discover that in bhakti tradition, diet is just not related only to food, but how the mind, the body, and the soul are actually so well connected. So it's really our honor to have a wonderful coach, Smita. Thank you for joining us, Smita.
Thank you for having me here. Thank you, Gayatri. Thank you, Anandya.
I just want to tell you a little bit about Smita. Smita has actually done her master's in fitness and nutrition, and she has studied something called as Ahar Shastra. Ahar actually means food and nutrition, and Shastra means it's like an encyclopedia in Vedic context. So it's an encyclopedia of nutrition. Smita has worked with some very, very renowned celebrity nutritionist. Her name is Ruchita Divekar, and personally on a own professional front, she has worked with many celebrities. She's worked with Mr. Anil Ambani. She has worked with the Maffatlals. She has also worked with Leena Nair. And we're so grateful, Smita, for joining us and having this wonderful conversation around fitness, health, and all of that connected to impacting our lives and spirituality. So grateful. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. It's my honor to be here and share whatever I have learned in my fitness journey.
That's wonderful. Why don't we start with what really inspired you in your fitness journey? First of all, not only applying it to yourself and then actually becoming a propagator of fitness and health and as a bhakti practitioner, how did you see the connectivity of like taking it into a passionate sphere of seeing those two connected so integrally?
So, Gayatri, honestly, I would say that my bhakti tradition, bhakti life, and my fitness just started together. Okay, when I decided to learn martial art, judo, that year itself, I got Bhagavad Gita. Right. So when I used to visit Juhu temple there, my senior Matajis, they would say that, oh, the hand which goes and fights comes here and strings garlands, right? It was that close. Both of it started together for me, and I would say that actually both, like judo as in fitness, right, that has helped me to stay connected and be strong on my path of bhakti, my practice, right. um,
I
well
think you said something really interesting here, how your practice of judo helped you strengthen on the path of bhakti. Because I think the integral part there for judo practice also you need perseverance and this consistency that you need for any practice. That's also so crucial in bhakti. The consistent
yeah, yeah,
stamina.
so totally, totally. Because unless so fitness, or if you are with a coach who's there for you every day, he or she will ask you to be present no matter what. Even if you're not feeling well, it's okay, come sit in the class. So I think bhakti is also like this. Even if you don't feel like chanting, just sit, do it, it's okay. It will pass. Just be there, be present. So that is what even my yoga teacher, Jules would say, just sit, just be in the class. You don't feel like practicing, sit, come and watch others, because just by being present, you will just get it. It's like some magical thing happens when your coach is there, when your master is there. It just happens, right? My struggle was waning. I had to gain weight, and I think that was very difficult for me, because judo is a game which has weight category and age category. So I wanted to get into a particular weight category, and for that I had to increase my weight. And no matter what I would do, my weight would just not increase.
Gosh, I wish I had that as a struggle.
Yeah, we've been discussing in manifestation how to lose weight, and
Oh no, I can
we've been
definitely.
discussing weight loss ever since. So you're
I
so
wish there
fortunate.
was the concept of weight, like you have this hair transplant, or if I could, or weight donation, or fat donation somewhere, I would be one of the most,
But Smita,
yeah.
Yeah.
I had a question for you. So since you've done judos, you've been, we call all these like physical exercises like modern wellness culture. And you're practicing bhakti at the same time. You got introduced to both of them at the same time. So like judo, we say, is balancing body and of course mind as well, because you're training yourself. But how does adding bhakti in the equation, soul in the equation, shift the balance? Like how did everything integrate for you, body, mind, and soul?
So, after I started, I was playing mainstream for many years. And at the same time, I started assisting people with their well being, physical well being, right? At that time, I used to always think that how is this integrated? Am I really doing justice to my practice, spiritual practice, right? Because we constantly hear that we are not this body, we are the soul, which is completely true, because of course we're going to lose this body one day or the other. But
Right.
at the same time, we see that unless we are not fit, unless we are not able to do certain things physically, we'll never reach there, because bhakti is also practice. And practice means something that is ongoing, right? To do that, you need a vehicle, and body is vehicle. So when with time I realized, while assisting people physically, that if the body is good, then you're able to practice and be steady with your own spiritual practices as well. So that is how it came together for me, that mind, body, and your spirit, everything is just at in that one direction.
It's so
That
wonderful.
is beautiful. The connectivity that you mentioned. And in fact, our founder Acharya of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada, he mentions that, the priority of every bhakti practitioner connected to the institution should be taking care of the body and maintaining it well so that it can be an instrument in service to the Lord, to humanity, to people in general. And I think what you've done is so beautifully, because you're not only practicing it, but also helping people to strike that balance in their spiritual lives. So I would really invite you to share a couple tips, in a sphere, in a culture of our society where, of course, we believe in sattvic nutrition, right? Whatever we're eating, not only are we focused on high quality ingredients that are sattvic in nature, but we also talk about the equation of love, cooking it with devotion. We understand that it affects your mind in a very, very deep way. So we have a culture that talks about that. Similarly, most of our practices in our culture are based on feeding and sharing. So our relationship factor, when friends are coming together, what are we talking about? You know, what are we cooking? How are we sharing that with others? Then our temple programs, or our gatherings, our spiritual gatherings. The best part of the culmination we talk about is our prasad, which is, sanctified food, sattvic food. So whenever we're talking about any kind of gathering, we're talking about food, any kind of exchange. Why don't you come to my house? Why don't we meet up at your house? There's always food involved.
It's never complete without prasad.
Yeah.
Never. Never.
I know. So, in a culture where is such a prominent element, how do we maintain the balance of not going overboard and trying to stay um, healthy with an aging body? something that I could digest 20 years back, I probably am not able to digest. But the feast haven't changed. Things haven't changed. So how would you suggest is the way to integrate the two and, not let them conflict each other?
See, honestly, this is very, very simple thing. If we really look at it, it's simple. However, like you said, we meet so often, and food is the center because prashadam, right? Without prashadam, no program is ever complete. So when I was attending initially some home program, because we have that practice, I would insist that can we have dinner at 6 p.m., can we have dinner at 6 p.m., and it was like almost not possible, right? But because that seed was sown, now in, like, I think last 5 years we've been having dinner prashadam first. We start with dinner prashadam and then we have the class, because by the time, if everybody is has walked in, and the program is, gets started only late, and by the time we finish dinners by 10, 10:30, at times even 11, right? So just shifting this, of course it's very difficult because there's no culture where you eat prashadam first and then do the program.
Mhm.
But look at the impact, because you're eating late food, and then it contributes to your next morning, it affects your next morning practice, if you're serious in practicing your japa or any morning ritual, that is going to get affected. So one is that have early dinner as early as possible, as in as close to sunset. That's one. Number two is, if possible, try and avoid wrong combination food. So certain combination is completely said no in Ahar Shastra, right?
And what are
Ayurvedic.
they?
Yeah. So there are certain food combinations like milk and fruits. No milk and fruit should go together. So what
My
happens is
goodness,
most
all those
times.
smoothies are out of the window.
Totally, totally, totally. Because what happens is, right, there is a movement. People want to eat healthy. People want to take care of themselves. People want to stay good while they're practicing their spiritual practices. However, we end of the day we kind of choose wrong food. So I always say this to my client, right? Right food eaten at wrong time does more wrong than right. Okay, right food eaten at wrong time does more wrong than right. That's because you think that it's good food and you eat it, but end of the day it will harm you. Maybe it will not harm like it's harming somebody else, like who's just eating wrong food, but it is going to harm you. You will feel that your energy levels are not so good as compared to what you're eating, right? So certain combinations, like I said, first is fruit, and I'm just highlighting the ones which I'm seeing very often.
Yeah.
There are many, but ones which I see often is fruit and milk.
Hmm.
Okay, so it's like completely no. One fruit which is okay is mango. So mango shake is good.
So when you say milk, that means milk only and not yogurt.
Yeah, milk only, not yogurt, not really yogurt.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah,
Smoothie
so
is back in there.
yeah, yeah, you can still have some smoothie. But yeah, that is definitely a very big no combination.
And
Okay.
can you give an example of right food at wrong time? What did that mean?
Yeah, like season. So like I was about to say, mango milkshake is okay, but not in December if you're in India. It
Hmm.
has to be in May,
Hmm.
April,
When
May. It
when
cannot
it's
be
the
in
season
December.
of mangoes, yeah.
Yeah, like you would go to some fancy wedding in December and they are serving you mango milkshake. You should know, oh my God, this is dangerous.
Okay.
Yeah, like that. So
Okay.
right food, when we eat at wrong time does really a lot of damage. Like for example, winter is the time when you should be having carrot, cabbage, um, you know um peas, cauliflower, and not in summer, because these are the food which is going to give you warmth, and in summer in India is already so hot. Similarly, anywhere in the anywhere in the world, wherever you are, you make sure that what season are you in that time, and that part of that country. Okay. Again,
Hmm.
in country also there is a division, like in India south would be different, north would be different. So first understanding that where are you, what time, what location is prominent for you. Based on that, then you make your food choices. That's one. So combinations like these. Two is salt and milk. So some food will demand milk and salt in it, which is completely again no, no, no. Because
White
superficially you
sauce.
may say, hmm,
White sauce.
white sauce, totally. Right? So superficially you may feel, oh, but everyone is okay, nothing is happening to anyone. But what happens is there's a subtle toxicity which kind of builds in your body, and that affects your consciousness, and that affects your practice, your spiritual practice. All this is very subtle. So when you look at it, you may not feel something is really going wrong. But at deeper level, it will affect. And that's going to reveal itself only when you're in your 60s and 70s. So
Gradually with time, yeah.
yeah, so one may say, but it's okay when you're young, you can eat it. Yes, but it's going to still affect your consciousness.
Hmm. Hmm.
Okay. The other thing which I really see is that portion size. What happens is at feast, what happens is we end up eating more than required, and that causes lot of disturbance in our gut, and it spoils the whole microbiome, and that affects the whole system. Because this research, newer and newer research, are showing that how our brain and gut are connected. The enzymes which are found in our stomach, they are also present in our brain, right? Whereas in our scriptures, they've been telling about this for ages, that how our how our tongue, how our belly and genitals are in one line and they're connected. So what happens is whatever goes wrong in your gut, that affects our mind, as in brain, gray matter, right? So that goes for a toss. So understanding what portion size works for you the best. Nobody can say that you eat only 1 cup of rice. No. Nobody can say that just eat 2 puris. If you can digest 5 puris, eat 5 puris, no problem. But you need to figure out what is the portion size that works best for you.
Hmm. And
And
even
what
the
is that?
Bhagavad Gita, it says simply, right? Like not to overindulge and not to overeat.
Yes.
And Srila
Yeah.
Prabhupada has mentioned that very simply, but when you think that that's how,
Regulated lifestyle.
yeah.
Yes.
He
Yes.
really mentions is like having a regulated lifestyle, regulated eating, regulated sleeping, regulated practices,
Practice.
regulated sex life.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is regulated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, we'll let you continue with those thoughts that you had.
Yeah, so when we look at it, food is just one part of wellness, Gayatri, right? You have exercise, you have sleep. At times we compromise with sleep because,
Yeah.
we focus so much, which is true. Your morning is very, very important. But for you to have perfect morning routine, you need to have perfect night routine.
Hmm.
Unless you do not set your night routine, I do not suggest anybody. I work with devotees, I work with monks at the temple, and for them also I suggest the same thing. Just fix your night routine first. Let's not focus what's happening in the morning. Just let's not touch that first. Let's work with your night routine. Once you have a steady beautiful night routine, automatically your morning will be better.
Hmm.
So have a very systematic time for your bed. Create right ambience. Make sure that you're staying away from heavy electronics. Not watching too many things which is going to stimulate your mind, and then that will lead you to go deep into your sleep. And what happens is, when you're deep, of course, hormonal changes, you are getting rejuvenated and you have renewal of your body, all that is happening. But also when you're in deep sleep, right, you reach to your optimum level of your sleep quality. That is the time whatever you have done your spiritual practice, that gets, it's like puzzle, it just gets fixed there. But if we do not sleep well, whatever practice we are doing, we are not able to really store it anywhere,
Yeah. It's
right?
amazing that you mentioned, a great morning routine is so dependent on a good night routine because that is so foundational. It's like a building block, You can't just set a block in in ether. It's going to have to build on something which is so crucial. Yeah, I'm really always interested in this knowledge when it comes to practicing that, just the lifestyles and our, you know, how would you suggest that we prioritize things? Like, what would be the most crucial things, or even if we can make up on a few days. I mean, in the United States, we are a weekend culture. you know, we like slave for 5 days, and then we like on the weekend we're
It's
talking
Friday
about something
night.
else. Yeah, your laundry comes on the weekend, everything comes on the weekend. But as a bhakti practitioner, your weekends are also super crazy.
Jam packed.
Yeah.
Busy, engaged, yeah.
Yeah. So, what would you say that if someone that is starting out and wanting to make a change, what would you suggest is the first topmost thing that they can integrate in their life and then slowly build on maybe one habit at a time, kind of a situation? What would you think would be most? I know it's a hard question, that because everything is there's so many foundations, but
And I
yeah.
think along the same lines, even I was curious to know. It's just same in continuation before start answering that. In the pursuit of personal growth, like you were saying, you work with brahmacharis, with devotees, from people outside who are so successful. How do you ensure? How do we ensure if someone's very interested in spiritual development, that how do they, how does spiritual development amongst all this remains a priority? So we do self care, but we also grow spiritually, and especially in this digital age of anxiety and stress. Yeah, how do we, what's your mantra?
Sleep. So first, if you get to take care of your sleep, everything will fall into, into its own space. Because the moment you sleep well, your satiety signal, the hormones which tell you that you're full or you're hungry, will be operating its to its optimum, right? It will tell you that, now you need to go, you're feeling your energy levels are too good, you can go and exercise. It will tell you that, this food is working best for you, this is not working best for you. But what happens is we compromise most on sleep because we exercise. We hear so much about exercising. We do pull out some time to exercise. We do figure out how to eat right as well. But sleep is so not really treasured, especially in devotee community, because there is focus of wake up early in the morning, which is
Yeah,
important, no
we
doubt
carry it
about
as a badge,
Yeah.
you know.
That I sleep less.
Yeah, actually, when there's a
it.
wonderful, grandmaster trainer, and he's also a bhakti practitioner. And he was once in a conversation saying that Rajesh Talwar, he was once saying that we actually carry a lack of sleep as a badge of honor. You know, spiritualists that, oh, I can get away with 4 hours of sleep. I'm guilty of that. But at the same time, I mean, when you're saying, because I think memory loss is deeply connected with lack of sleep, and not making the right choices in terms of food specifically. The cravings that kick in is also very connected with. I myself feel like, if I've got a really good night full, I'm so much more calmer and it's so much more disciplined than I am with not having enough sleep.
And I
Yeah.
keep sharing with Gayatri that I keep bringing my daughter. I mean, once she grows up, she will probably be like, "Mommy, why have you been bringing me up in all these discussions?" But she's 3 years old. She doesn't sleep well at all,
Mm,
and
mm.
I've been complaining about my sleep. And you're right. I totally realize that when I don't sleep, and if we don't get to sleep, then the next morning is like the next day is totally ruined. Like spiritual practices, my work, my health. I just feel dull all the time, all the time. And sometimes I swap with my husband and I get to sleep for, 7, 8 hours, and then I'm a totally different person, and everyone likes me at home that day.
That's a
That is
helpful thing when everyone likes you at home.
Yeah, but that is true because when we don't sleep, like what Gayatri said, and you said that, there is lack of concentration, right? You can't remember things. You feel so same thing, fatigued all the time. And in long term, what happens then? You're eating good, you're doing everything, but you have diabetes. You're doing everything good, but you feel that, oh, I'm pain sensitive. Whatever I touch, wherever I touch, I feel pain. So all this is like long term effect, right? And it's very simple. Okay, you can't do this every day, 7 days a week, not possible. Do 5 days, no problem. Start with 3 days. every alternate day. Try this, because the moment you realize that, oh, this is, and it's easy, you just have to sleep. You don't have to do anything.
I wish. I only wish.
So, imagine, all this, like, I'm sure the last decade and previous, people were focusing so much on go exercise, important, go do something, physical activity, eat right. But right now, in this today's time and age, is sleep. Just go get some good sleep and you will be sorted, because that's the base. Once you start from there, you will automatically get everything. You'll understand what's happening with you.
Mm,
You will
mm,
pause and think, okay, fine, I should not eat this because it's not going to help me. Otherwise, what happens, you're not you have not slept well. You end up making wrong choices. You go to work, somebody says something to you, already you're fatigued, already you're tired, you end up eating that one bucket of ice cream, right?
Yeah.
Or you come back home and
And a
then you
pack
want to
of
just eat
cookies.
junk. Yeah. Or you just feel like, let me eat junk food, you feel better, because of course, like I said, brain and gut is connected, right?
yeah,
So the moment you eat something, it's going to trigger your happy hormones in your brain as well.
that's true.
So, but yeah, but it's all wrong combination, and then we start feeling that why my practice is not helping me, is only because you're feeding the soul but you're not taking care of your body,
Mm,
right? So
mm,
you are not able to recognize it. It's not that it's not helping, it's still helping you, because practice is perfect, it's going to help you, but you will not be able to recognize it.
Mhm.
Hence, taking care of body is equally important, and that's like how Gayatri, just touched that, how Prabhupada would emphasize that, take care of yourself. It's important, because the moment you neglect that, you're neglecting the whole ecosystem.
Also, so importantly, because this is given to us as a tool, you know, to continue our journey in spiritual practice. So when we have a culture that respects everything that is given to us, we in fact consider, like, in our Vedic culture, we say that every instrument, every utensil, everything that is not different than Balaram, we that's our culture. And so when we're talking about receiving a human body, we explain, our scriptures explain how fortunate we are and how important it is to actually care for that, the gift that we've received, so that we can serve without becoming a burden, for an extended period of time, not only just on, our family and extended, we can't, if we're not good enough to take care of ourselves, how are we going to be able to move forward and support anyone else in their spiritual practices? And that's the dream of every devotee, like wanting to, every bhakti practitioner wants to practice it and then share it with others. That's just our ecosystem, the way it's kind of built. So how important it is to focus on something very foundational gift that we have received. I was hoping that maybe you could share with our viewers also, a cheat sheet of some combinations, and also some nature of some foods, like you mentioned that in the winter it's nice to have red carrots and peas and things like that. If you have something like a cheat sheet, that can be helpful, maybe we can plug it in
yeah.
to our.
Yes, yes, I can definitely make it easy, like which grain and which pulses you should eat in which season. So that, of course, major, there are three seasons, but there are sandhi in between. So like
Mm-hmm.
that, we have seasons, right? I mean,
Mhm.
in our calendar also we see that. But at least I can give three brief about three big seasons, that what grain should be eaten, what pulses should be eaten, what vegetables you should pick, and what fruits you should pick, so that it becomes easy, and then from that combination you can choose, and you can pick and choose and have enjoy that.
I think that'll be really helpful. That'll be very
Sure.
helpful. And
I'll share the sheet.
yeah,
Yes,
definitely. We can share.
specifically if it is temperature designated, because in certain different parts of the world the temperatures vary. Like, we're in California and it's probably around 45 degrees outside Fahrenheit.
Right, right.
um, and you're probably in India, which is like in Mumbai right now, isn't it, or Bangalore? Are you in
But
Mumbai?
yeah,
So in Mumbai it's probably what, 30 something
yeah,
Celsius?
around,
Yes.
yeah, 30.
Yeah. Celsius. So yeah, what you should be eating, what we should be eating is should probably be
Different.
different. So if it's temperature related, and that makes it easier. Like I actually read how incorporating lubricants into your
Hmm.
body, like ghee, um, really helps in the winter as well. I'd like to hear about this miracle,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
that is known as a miracle.
Yeah, ghee, is good in all seasons. In fact, our Shastra says that the ones who do not eat ghee in summer, you know, uh, like they are called as, what is it called? Um, what is donkey called? Nandana. What Nandana is it called?
Is it
Vaishakhanandan. So in
Vaishak?
Vaishakhanandan, right? Because in that month, when it is extreme hot, extreme heat, humidity, that's the time you need to eat ghee completely. No oil. You shouldn't touch oil at all.
Mhm.
And also, a lot of people, what they do is they mix ghee and oil, right? They add a little bit of ghee, and you should never do that, because
Mhm.
ghee by itself is giving you the best stuff. And ghee is the only food which kind of also builds the finer tissue of our gray matter, right?
Agree.
So of course it kind of lubricant, it works as a lubricant across your body and stuff like that. It does that. However, the most important function is that it helps keep your brain sharp. Hence ghee is so celebrated. In fact, Chanakya says that beg, steal or borrow, but have ghee.
So you
you
would
know
rather say we cook in ghee than oil? Wouldn't be that affect our cholesterol or all of that? Is
Not at all. In fact, good quality ghee will actually increase your good cholesterol, right? And
okay.
decrease your bad cholesterol. And if you combine with good sleep and exercise, your triglyceride will also come down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the
I
whole
can
lipid
totally
profile will
vouch
get,
for that. I can vouch
yeah,
for that. We haven't used ghee in like 23 years. I mean, we haven't used oils in 23 years.
Oh.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Only cooked and fried in ghee.
Yes, yes. It's perfect because any season and every season you should try and use ghee, but particularly if it is summer, then ghee is must. You should not touch any kind of oil.
And I've heard that when we fry in ghee, that we can reuse the ghee, but with oil we have to, throw it away, discard it
Yeah,
because the
because
oil is hydrogenated or something like
Becomes
that, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
carcinogen.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because of
yeah,
its burning point, right?
yeah,
So ghee
yeah,
is excellent with all of that. So it gives you benefit of, many more things. And also it is the shortest chain. The fatty acid chain is the shortest, so it's easy to digest as well.
yeah.
That's why ghee is celebrated.
The I think the problem is not only just understanding and having this knowledge and seeing how it's so connected with our spirituality, but it's also finding the right kind of ingredients. Like
True.
we're talking about ghee, which is a miracle in itself for your health, but at the same time, the adulteration in that industry is so high that finding the right kind of ghee, I mean, if you go to a Costco here, you get some brands of ghee which is just made from butter,
Uh,
you know. So is that also, will that also give you benefit? Or is it that, of course, I understand the topmost quality, but it's so expensive, darn expensive. And at the same time, when you're using it in large quantities, what would be your suggestions? And,
So it's best that you have the best ingredient, definitely. However, when you look at investment, and when you're looking at the expense, you will always see that ghee is a better investment, because long term it is going to protect you more than your medical insurance or whatever, right? So from that perspective, yes, of course, when you're buying it, you're like, oh my god, this is so freaking expensive. How I'm going to buy anything else, right? Or how I'm going to save money. But so there are different grades. Definitely, one, you should always look for cow's milk and milk product. Okay, and that also, if it says that okay, it's made from butter from Indian cow, then it's fine. And then you move on to other. Buffalo is good for curd, but not for ghee or other stuff. Um, and again, when you're having ghee also, you don't need to cook or use a lot of it, because once you understand the measurement of using ghee, you'll realize that you don't need so much of ghee. So automatically you will understand that your budget for that, you will be able to budget for ghee for sure. That's one way of understanding of it. And but if you're going to choose something which looks like ghee, then I think instead of that, just use good quality cold press oil, virgin oil. So if you really feel that I can't use it for everything, then you go for good quality oil. Of course, don't use seed oil, like seed in the sense, sunflower, safflower, not these. Go
Peanut.
for yeah, peanut. You can go for peanut, you can go for coconut, sesame. Okay. Yeah, so these 3 4 oil are really really good, so choose these instead of the other quality of oil.
But still, the preference is always ghee.
Ghee. Also, Smita, like since we have you here, and I was just thinking, like from um, this example just came, like in Srimad Bhagavatam, we have this great king, King Ambarish. We've read about him, and he is the master of all the 9 processes of bhakti, like listening, hearing, all the 9 process, Shravanam, Kirtanam. So he is considered to be a very all in all a very balanced person. He used his mind to focus on Krishna. He used his legs to go to the temple, to the holy place. He is considered the most balanced person. So now, like we've established, like we have to use body as a tool, as a vessel for devotion. We have to take care of ourselves and use it ultimately in service. And since along the same lines, we're talking about like practical, mindful consumption. So now coming to mine, and since you've practiced judo and you're also practicing bhakti, like in terms of mind, like in this day and age, again, I think um, Jada Bharat comes to my mind, like Bharat Maharaj. He was attached to deer. We all have that deers in our lives, right? Screen, Instagram, likes, views. You were talking about screen time before sleeping. How has judo and bhakti helped you in terms of balancing and harmonizing your mind? If you can shed some light on that.
Yeah, one is, just being consistent, just being consistent with what you do. And second thing I would say is the community. When you have a community which creates safe place for you, what happens is sometimes you're not able to trust the community because we do not know how safe it is. Because like you said, you spoke about likes, Instagram, Facebook, all of these, but one of the most important thing which we kind of miss big time in this society is emotions.
Mm.
What happens is emotion is also one of the anchor, and we save somewhere in our body. Of course, few things are okay when we talk about it, but few things, like, okay, I do indulge in Instagram. It doesn't matter, I can just say okay, yeah. But when I say, oh no, but I do indulge in my pain which happened to me in, like, 5 years ago, and people will be like, what are you even talking, so
Mm.
if we can create that community or a
Great.
society
Yeah.
in that space, right, where somebody can just come and speak about their thoughts, because what happens is mind gets stuck with something which has happened in past, and that kind of leaves the dent, and they don't know, like, people generally, they do not know whom should I go and speak, because how do I trust that this person is not going to judge me? Because what happens is when I'm practicing some spiritual activity, there are 1 2 3 4 5 do's. I have to do these things. If
Mm.
I don't do this, then I'm not really part of this community,
Mm.
right? Unfortunately, we all forget that we are all practitioners. We are not really reached that goal, we are
Yeah.
not there
They're
yet,
not
right?
perfectionists yet. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's okay if I'm not able to do these 5, if I'm doing 3, I'm still part of it.
Mm.
And that support is sometimes it does lack, right? And that's why people cannot, as an individual, I can't come up and say, oh, listen, last night I had fight with this person, and that's why I'm feeling down today,
Mm.
right? So
Mm.
if we are able to create that, then mind is kind of settled. I know that I can come and speak about it here, then automatically that is gone. And now because I'm not feeling that sadness, I don't go back to Instagram to feel happy. Now I don't feel that, I'm hurt, that I'm going and figuring out that, which verse is saying that I can go and trouble someone, right? So all this just comes to a part of handling our emotions a little better. And if you go back to scriptures everywhere, we read even older scriptures, we get to know that why were they talking about taking care of your mental health. Our Shastra says that you may look physically fit, but unless mentally you're not really fit, you're not really fit.
Mm.
Right.
Yeah.
So just handling these few small things, I think, that should help.
I think one important thing that you brought out is the community aspect. And just simply having these conversations. Spirit Talks Foundation is only based on creating a community. That was the thought of Ananga and I, um, that we build a space in a community where we are comfortable speaking about the struggles of our day to day lives and balancing it with being bhakti practitioners, and how everything is really embedded within our scriptures in a very beautiful way. Just the very aspect of being able to have that one person to share your mind and heart with, and you don't have to go to Instagram to seek that like and acknowledgement, because that is a social need of a person. And that was spoken about by Rupa Goswami in the Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita, so beautifully. Not only just one person, rather he's talked about the three levels of
Yes.
association that one must have. You have a senior that can actually come say, you know what, Gayatri, watch your tracks, watch where you're going, you're kind of derailing, or like realign yourself. And then you had someone, because there's so much joy in giving, you have someone that you can share your experiences with, and that brings a lot of joy where you're able to help and support someone and uplift someone. And then you have someone that you can tag along with and share your journey while you're on it, as a friend. So that the three aspects of association is within our scriptures. What you're talking about is definitely within our scriptures, and it's so well integrated with our social need, which leads to our emotional stability, which kind of leads to not hankering for stigmas outside, that cortisol, or what do you call that? That
Yes.
Adrian.
adrenal rush. Is that what it's
Dopamine.
called?
Yes, yes.
Adrenal rush, or that little boost of
Dopamine release.
yeah, that you
Yeah.
get. Cortisol. No, what is it?
Dopamine. What happens?
Dopamine. Dopamine.
Oxytocin.
Yeah.
Oxytocin.
Yeah.
Oxytocin is the word that I
Yes.
was looking for. That 8-second oxytocin hug.
Yes. Yes.
Um, if you get that within your community, it's like it's so much.
Yes.
It's
So much easier.
mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I didn't want to cut you off here.
No, 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 no. That's just perfectly what you just said. Like I said, all of these are part of scriptures. At times what happens, we just pick few things and we just say, oh, this is the only bhakti. No, that's not how it is. Only when everything is integrated. Because for bhakti is like you're reaching self-actualization, but you have so many other needs, right? If you're not going to cater this at the right time, later on, that is, when you're in 40s, 50s, 60s, that's going to trouble you more. And then suddenly you'll feel, oh, whatever I did for last 20, 25 years, it's not working. It has not worked for me, only because few things you didn't take care at that time, exercising for that matter. When you are in that age group where you can exercise, go exercise, because you
Mm.
still have to do parikrama, you want to still go for that walk, you still want to do prayagraj maybe, right? So how are you going to do all this unless you don't take care of your physical body? Of course it is true that we are not this body, we are this, spirit soul, but body is that, again, that vehicle for us to
True.
take everything right to next level.
Yeah.
So when you are in this stage in time, I think, you need to do a little bit of self-care, and that's going to serve, that's going to make, you're going to enjoy your bhakti more, because now you're like taking care of your health, you feeling good, you can wake up early, you can sleep on time, and you're relishing every bit of it then.
Yeah. I wouldn't just call it a small win, but there's this famous book, Make Your Bed.
Yeah.
you know
Mm.
s-
Yeah.
Make your bed, like, start with just making your bed in the morning, you feel accomplished. So it's
Yes.
something to that point, that The very point that you said is that, your small win could be just getting your 7 hours of sleep in at the right time. I thought maybe we could spend the next 5 minutes to talk about the sleep aspect alone, just so that you've laid that as a foundation. Like you mentioned, sleep being such an important aspect. So, can I sleep at 1 o'clock, 1 a.m., and then get up at 9 and still get my hours of sleep? Or do you prefer that, it's I
Or,
know.
for bhakti practitioners, sleep at 1 and wake up at 4.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, I
That's the
mean,
worst, I think. But
yeah.
like, is this what is ideal? Tell us what is ideal and the
I'll
closest
tell
we
you
can
what
get.
is ideal. Okay, well, I'll tell you what is ideal. Ideal is that you sleep, you sleep before 10. Okay, that's the
Mm.
ideal, because between 10 to 12, something magical happens. You will see that you're aging slowly. You'll see that you can wake up early. You are more productive. Okay.
I do agree.
Now, if you feel it's really difficult, then you can try and sleep at least before midnight, because in real, this all the research is pushing towards this, that how you get beautiful sleep between 10 to 12. Okay. Now, if you look from your from scriptures point of view, what happens is that around that time, around that midnight time, for that you'll have to go into deep sleep.
Mm.
Okay. When you get into that deep sleep, there is a point where you reach where your consciousness, your subconscious mind and conscious mind is aligned with super conscious mind. That's what like quantum physics is talking about right now, right? So there is something happening, exchanges happening, where you get nourished in a very different way. From a very scientific point of view, what's happening is that you are reaching to your max beautiful sleep hour, where you're able to rejuvenate and your repair work is faster and better. Now, for that to happen, you'll also have to schedule your dinner a little early, because if you're going to eat your dinner only at say 9:30 and you're going to sleep at 10, that's not going to help either.
Yeah.
Eat your dinner a little early. So small changes, just small change, and then you'll see that how beautiful results it's giving to you. So just make sure that you're sleeping early, that's all. And if it's not possible all 7 days, just do 5 days or at least 3 days, every alternate day, and you will see the difference. The day you sleep early, you will feel the difference.
I think the
So yeah.
two things you said, like, is eating before sunset. I'm going to practice that, and like having your dinner, because usually we have at 8 and try to sleep at 10. It doesn't help, right? And then sleeping between 10 to 12, because all my student life I had that schedule. What Gayatri was mentioning, sleeping at 1 after my finishing up my coursework and then getting up at 9. But now that I'm practicing bhakti, I want to sleep early and then wake up early as well. So
Yes, yes. The benefit of this is that you are also able to wake up little early and you get sunrise right
yeah,
directly,
yes,
right? So what
yes.
happens is those early morning sun rays. It's not about spending half an hour in sun. Even if you're able to spend 10 minutes of early sunrise, which is not hurting you, because sunburn shouldn't happen.
Hmm.
Rays should touch your body, especially the spine, right?
Oh,
So go for that walk and get that 5 7 minutes of sun rays, and you will see how beautiful your hair, skin, and the way you feel. It's going to be completely a different. It's going to be like a game changer. Just try this for a week, and you will realize that it is playing such a big role. But for that to happen, you'll have to start sleeping early.
yes,
So the
yes.
goal is that you need to have that beautiful sun rays on your body, and the everything is different, because that first hour of sun rays,
Hmm.
the moment it touches our skin, there are a lot of activities which are taking place, which kind of helps you build your immunity, your skin, your hair, all of it.
Oh, amazing! Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I,
In India, there's a practice. I'm sorry, I'm just
no,
gonna
no, no, no problem.
give
No,
you a
no, no.
small
Go ahead.
thing
No.
about this. In India, there's a practice that mostly the temples are little away and usually towards the east, right? And the village would be little bit on the west, and everybody would go for morning program. right?
Yes,
And
yes.
in India, it's observed that women who, all these women who are aging, they don't really wear full pack blouse. They wear a very different kind of blouse, whether it's backless and stuff like that. And as a kid, I used to wonder why my grandma is not wearing blouse, right? But only with time, I realized that what happens is when people walk towards the temple, they finish their Mangalarti or whatever that morning, and when they start walking back, the sun is on their back at the spine,
Yeah,
right?
that's very
And
sad.
especially older women, they need more of the sun early
Hmm.
morning hours, so that it's helping them go strong on their bones, because
Oh.
women have their own cycle. After a point, they start, they start depleting with their minerals in their
Mhm.
joints, bones. So that sun ray really helps them. So there's
Hmm.
a tradition and culture where older women will be like kind of have backless blouses, right?
Hmm.
So everything, one may think, oh, this is so silly, bhakti doesn't mean that you have to do this. But if you see, the whole ecosystem is
Hmm.
done in such a way which allows you to experience wholesomeness of wealth, of health, of well-being, all of it, because
Hmm.
everything will lead you to bhakti. So it's like, you do dharma, artha, kama, and then, if of course, if you are able to do this in wholesome way, you will reach towards moksha. So yeah, that is how it is.
I think you reminded me, like even I was thinking, like how all this ties to, our bhakti from Bhagavatam. Like if there's one principle that could transform our approach to holistic harmony, and we got so many pearls and pearls of wisdom from you, and that is that everything we can connect to Krishna, like taking care of our body. Actually, someone just gifted me a book on gardening yesterday, because my husband and I we were, it's just therapeutic. Like, and we have lemon and orange trees, and they were all falling down. And somebody at our neighbors, they thought probably we need that book. So I was, oh, it's raining, it's cold, we don't go outside. But then maybe they thought that we should take care, and that will help us as well. So I was just thinking how this body is a garden, so it'll help. We have to nourish it, we have to water it, protect it, and sunlight and everything. The mind is us, like the gardener, who determines what you're growing, what's falling down, taking out the weeds, and not letting distractions come in. The emotions that you were mentioning about, finding peace amongst the chaos, and also the soul, which is the eternal seed, what we want to grow, our love for Krishna through body, mind, and soul. And we got so many pearls of wisdom from you. And we would love to have that cheat sheet that you were mentioning. And I think some of us would want to, get in touch with you, follow you. Is there a way they can get in touch with you?
Yeah, Instagram is cool, where you can share that. Yeah, and email is also, if anybody has anything where they want to really talk deep, then of course they can email me.
Thank
That's
you.
wonderful, wonderful, Smita. It was really enlivening. And just as a closing, I mean, because since you shared so much, so that none of us feel overwhelmed when we're leaving, I wanted to just touch on the few really crucial points that you mentioned. That foundation is set the day before for any of our spiritual practices, an early dinner, and then practically before sunset, if possible, and getting good, restful sleep as close as you can get to 10 o'clock, and getting at least 7, or, following your body rhythm of how many hours of sleep. If we can do this as much as possible, um, I think it's a good start. And then as
Yes,
we see the benefit, in
yes.
fact, I tried that, and I'm very disciplined with eating before sunset, but my sleep patterns, are not the greatest. But I've realized that if we, move the clock, if I was sleeping at midnight and somebody told me that I have to sleep at 10 o'clock, I'd probably freak out, because that's like
Hmm.
2 hours of most productive time. But everything
Right.
is shut down, everyone is shut down, and it's just me working, you know. So I started to do something that I thought would be helpful, is like move my clock half an hour
Hmm.
at a time. So if I was sleeping at 11, move it to 10:30. If I was sleeping at 10:30, move it to 10. Just do these half an hour intervals, and then if you're able to sustain that, then move another half an hour, or you can try 15 minutes. 15 minutes doesn't really hurt, and your body doesn't really like go into a shock kind of a situation that you're laying there 2 hours and not falling asleep. But yeah, so I thought that might also be helpful and really grateful. Maybe we should bring you in again to talk more in depth into one other subject, which is, which I think is proper nutrition in terms of any intake of vitamins, making sure that, just because of lack of magnesium, you don't sleep well.
Yeah, yeah,
Because,
yeah. There's so much to talk about and around just by itself. All of this are, in its own a deeper subject. We can discuss about them.
yeah,
So,
like
yeah, yeah,
if I'm craving sweets, I figured it's a deficiency. And when I
yes,
started to feel the deficiency of vitamin B, my cravings of
yes,
sweets have
yes,
gone down drastically.
yes,
And
yes.
that's helping me balance, you know, it- that was the reason I lost a little bit of weight. And it's like, it's a whole chain which we kind of neglect, but I
What
think
vitamin was that? How did you balance it?
that's for our next podcast. So tune in.
we
Yeah,
would,
yeah.
yeah, we would definitely want you to be back, Smita.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I feel so honored, But I'm more than happy to share everything that I have studied. To really round it up, yes, first food, make sure that you're eating right food. Avoid wrong combination as much as possible. Move as often as possible. Sleep, like Gayatri really said, how you can really chop little bit of time here and there and make sure that you're sleeping well. One of the best way to do is that, next day don't plan anything and just sleep without an alarm. You'll figure out that what's ideal hour for you. It's for some it's 6.5, for some it's 7, for some it could be even 8.5 hour, right?
And that
So
that's but okay, right? Because
that's
sometimes,
natural. Yeah,
okay,
it's natural. It's
whatever
fine.
our body says, yeah,
But
Whatever our body needs.
it's said that women need more sleep.
yeah.
It totally depends. You will be able to figure out how much you need. Don't set an alarm. That's the rule. Like, I don't set up alarm for any day ever, because then my body, just getting up in mid and just doing everything just gets bad, and everything is ruined. So I just don't set up an alarm.
Don't set an alarm and also don't set a limit, right? Because sometimes we think as Bhakti practitioners, 6 hours. If I go overboard, then I'm overindulging. That's not
No,
true,
no,
right?
it doesn't work
My
like that.
body just
It
needs
does.
7 to 8 hours of sleep. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah. Like Gayatri said, we can talk only about sleep next time.
yeah, yeah. I think we definitely need
And
to.
vitamins is something that I
Yeah,
really found.
vitamins. Yeah,
I
yeah.
found that
And
so
last bit is that, yeah, last bit is just managing your emotions well. So when you plug all of these together, you will see that, you're balancing your physical and your spiritual practice.
it's such an honor to have you, and thank you for sharing all these pearls, like Ananga already mentioned. And we're grateful for everyone tuning in. Thank you for joining
Thank you.
us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Gayatri. Thank you, Ananga. Thank you so much. It was
Thank you so
wonderful.
much.